Hi everyone, today we continue to watch games of Vishwanathan Anand, 15th world champion. Today game will be against Sergei Karjakin. Okay, let's start watching this game. Please push the like in advance and I promise you that it will be really interesting video. Okay, e4, c5, knight to f3, d6, d4, c take on d5, knight takes on d4, and knight f6, knight c3, a6. Neither variation, very aggressive opening again. Bishop e3. Okay, a few words about style of Vishanant. It's very aggressive, very dynamic player. At all time calculate everything at all, and mm, it means that he want to have fire on the board. Okay, let's continue. E5, knight to b3, bishop to e6, f3. Here it seems strange that black didn't play something like d5 because if you saw this position even once, you understand that main plan here to play d5. But the problem is that after d5, e take on d5, knight takes on d5, knight takes on d5, bishop takes on d5, queen d2, and after a few moves, knight c6, long castle, bishop e6, queen to f2, and queen to c8, position is better for, um, of course, for white because they have king in a safe place, active rook on d5 file, and some bad squares of the opponent on c5 and b6. Somewhere our knight goes to c5 and start attack there. So it means that initiative and strong advantage on the white side here. So we must delay this main idea and try to develop more pieces to prepare that. Bishop e7, queen to d2, short castle, long castle, knight to d7. If we have this position with different castles, short and long castle, the king, black's king, stay on different flank, and it means that um, white can start attack immediately with these pawns and don't care about the safe place of the king because if two kings would be on the same flank, something like king to g on g1, it will be not so convenient to play g4, h4 from the king. So it means that with different castles we can start attack faster, and who started faster and continue it faster will have a strong and even maybe huge advantage in the position. So let's see. G4, of course, B5, again on different flanks. We try to do something. Okay, G5, B4, very important moment because in the position exists interesting move knight d5. It's main idea, but not in this position. Before g5, knight d5, it's not a good thing because after bishop d5, e take on d5, very very important thing, knight to b6, and pawn on d5. It's weakness, and to save this pawn, we are forced to take on b6, and after this trade, black completely good here. But uh, that's why this variation is not good enough. The best way to play g5, of course, and important moment again because before main idea, if we play something else like knight to h5 or knight to e8, of course immediately will be knight d5, and after take here knight b6, it's not a big problem because here our pawn protected enough and our opponent doesn't have any active ideas. Later we will try to play something like bishop d3, bishop e4, put our bishop on absolutely the best position on the board because this bishop will protect everything and attack the king. So that's why here it's not so good. Uh, uh, But okay, after g5, we have this b4 move. Of course, now knight d5 it's bad because after take, take, and bishop f5, now our bishop will be on a safe place and will interfere for this bishop to go to this plan. And if he do something like that, we can just trade it, and our opponent will not have this very dangerous bishop in the future. So it means that before very important move in the position, knight to e2, and here knight to e8. Of course, was possible to play knight h5 too, because after knight h5, we just want to stop this attack with this pawn too, but exist some problems with knight on h5 because exist a very important move knight to g3. We want to remove this blocking knight on h5, and if we take this position is completely bad for black, because okay, try to remember it that if in the Sicilian game somewhere we have open file against our king, it's very very dangerous, because after queen to h2 this attack will be just destructive and really fast. So it means that to take on g3 it's like a lost game immediately. So knight f4, only one move in the position, but this move gives strong advantage for white too. And white can just hold a little bit h4 to protect this pawn on g5, and later they will take on f4. If black want to a little bit open position and try to activate a rook and so on, it's standard move in this type of position, but here it doesn't work, because after bishop takes on f4, pawn takes on f4, for this in this moment square on d4 unprotected. So after knight d4, bishop f7, knight c6, king queen to e8, and knight f5, we can see that white just almost won this game, because here we can see that everything's stacked, all these weaknesses. King will be really opened a few moves later, and position is completely lost. Okay, that's why it was really really dangerous, but okay, was possible. Knight to e8. Of course, we want to open the position, so f4, a5. We try to do the same things on the opposite flank, f5, a4. Yeah, and it's a very very important thing, because it looks like we just lost a light piece. Yeah, because after take, 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 but no, we didn't lose it, because after b take on a2, impossible to stop the pawn, and pawn will be a queen. So that's why it's a bad variation for white. And if we play here, was possible to play in two different ways, to take on e6 or to play knight to d4. To these possibilities gives strong advantage for white, so doesn't matter. Knight to d4, takes, and b3. Why we didn't take this pawn on a2? Because we have this problem with knight c6, and impossible to save the bishop on e7. After here, we can just take it here and continue the attack, and that's why it's not a big problem for white. Okay, let's come back. b3, they try to open the king immediately. King b1, very very clever move, because if of course black didn't do that, but if black do something like b take on a2 after king to a1, will be in a really really safe place. It's very important, because it looks like, wow, it's a pawn really close to the king, but it's not a problem. A lot of mm, times we can okay, not in not in this game, but in many games we could see something like very similar to this position, when the opponent's pawn can even help to defend our king. So it would be really bad idea for black. b take on c2, knight takes on c2, and bishop b3. Very, very good move because, of course, this bishop want to be sacrificed on the square to open a file for the rook and somewhere for our queen and so on. That's why bishop b3 really strong idea here. Takes, knight to a3. Of course, knight goes to a3 because maybe seems that knight to d4 better, but no, because knight will be not uh, very close to the king to defend him. So knight on a3 will close this line, and it gives more problems for black to continue the game. Knight to e5, normal move, because somewhere we just put the knight on active position. Somewhere if the rook goes to g1, we have this fork, and it can stop the opponent to do that. And if our opponent plays something like f6, we can just take this pawn, and somewhere our king will close the line for against our king. So knight here is active. Maybe somewhere even interfere for our opponent to play bishop to c4 to take this pawn and so on. That's why knight on e5 really good move. H4, but it's too slow because h4 it's we need a few more tempos to start the attack, and if we compare it with black's plan here, it's a really big difference with active possibilities. Okay, rook a5 was in the game, but the best move was to play rook to a4. Rook on a4 do one more job to attack this pawn on e4, and it was much stronger. But okay, Vishanand didn't see this possibility, or maybe he saw this possibility but didn't choose them. Didn't choose it. So queen to a8 to attack the pawn on e4 and attack on a3. It's a very good move. And here you can try to think how to save the game, because was possible to save it, but in a very strange way. So try to find it. 1, 2, 3. In the position was possible to play something like rook to g1, yeah, to sacrifice the pawn, and a lot of computer variations here. But if to place something like it did Karjakin in the game, bishop g2, very standard move to just develop the bishop and protect the pawn. Position is lost. Now it's lost, and you can try to find how to win the game, because now it's really nice move. And after that, impossible to save the game for white. So try to find it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, here this position is looks maybe strange because our knight stays on e8 on very passive position, but in general, if we change it, if we activate our knight, the position will be win immediately, because white didn't even start the attack here, and black just distracted the whole king's position, and they are ready to take somewhere on a3 and start a really strong attack on the king. So it means that if we manage to improve our knight, we will win immediately. If not, we will have some problems, and maybe even huge problems in long terms. So knight c7. We can just sacrifice this knight and win immediately. So queen takes on c7, rook c8, queen takes on e7, knight to c4. If we take on a3, of course, our opponent is forced to take. Queen takes on a3, and here, very important move. The only move in the position that can save the game. Try to find it. 1, 2, 3. In the game, only one possible move: queen to a7, because here bishop protects the queen, and queen protects a2 square from this idea, queen a2 mate. So that's why White will even win this game because they have extra rook in the position. Okay, that's why rook a3 was not so successful like knight on c4. Of course, now we have problems that this knight on a3 interfere us to attack the king. Yes, we lost two pieces, light pieces, but it's very important. We have more active pieces in current moment, and it's more important than just calculate quantity of our pieces in general. Yeah, that's why knight c4 and black win it without big problems. Yeah, g6. Of course, Karjakin try last chances here to open the king, but it's impossible. After h take on on g6, f take on g6, knight takes on a3 check, so that's why impossible to take somewhere on f7. Pawn takes on a3, rook takes on a3, and impossible to create attack because, yeah, if white would have one more tempo in the position somewhere, queen f7, and bishop would stay on d4, it would be immediately mate. But yeah, this is this type position exactly it is what it is. Yeah, that if you have one more tempo you can win it, but if you have but if your opponent have one more tempo, your opponent will win the game. So g take on f7 and king h7, important move too, because if we play something like that, he can try to take attention of this rook, and somewhere maybe he will have some chances to save a game. So that's why king h7, and if okay, knight, we are forced to take it. So here we can't go somewhere here because it will be check and so on. So we just take it. Queen takes on f8. Okay, if we play something like bishop d4, it looks good because we just protected this square from the rook, but it doesn't work because after rook a1, very important move. If he take after queen a2, king here, queen c2 mate, and if here if we play something like that, possible even to play, okay, here is very easy because here, here, and rook to b8 mate. So that's why it's very bad for white too. Let's come back. In the game was a little bit different thing. In the game was okay, take and queen takes on f8, and here easy mate for black. Now you can stop the video and try to find to the end of the game how to win, how to mate the white's king. So try to find it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, king to b2, rook to a2. Here, impossible to play here because queen can go to c6 and queen c2 mate. That's why king is forced to go to c3. Queen a5, important move. King to d3, queen b5, king to d4, and important move too, rook a4. We forced to this king go back, and we will mate it really easy. If this king go here, queen c2 mate. If this king go here, we can play rook e2 here and queen e2 mate. And in the end of the game, we can see that white have a lot of extra pieces, but it doesn't help for white to save a game. It's very important. Not quantity important thing, quality of these pieces, active possibilities of these pieces, not only quantity, because all these pieces just don't do nothing for defending moments of the king. So that's why where Vishy Anand just distracted his opponent and did it in maybe the best way. Yeah, just so thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Goodbye.